Hi there. So in this video I want to talk about hopelessness and powerlessness. I wouldn't say it's a symptom, but it's a sort of like a characteristic that kind of goes with this, with complex PTSD. So again, I'll give you an experience of mine, how it has affected me in my life before, so you'll see what it might look like. Last week, my cellar ceiling collapsed. My cellar is like a proper little room, like this room, exactly the same. It's more like a utility room because my kitchen, which is there, is really, really tiny, so that there's not enough room for everything. So my landlord has made a utility room in the cellar, which is great. I don't have access to the loft, so a lot of my things are stored in the cellar as well. But like most people, you just shove everything down there and you don't bother sorting it out. So as long as I had a pathway to the freezer and the washing machine, it was all fine. There was a lot of things down there I needed to sort out because I'm planning to do a car boot sale, and I had a lot of things I needed to bring upstairs that I had to sort through. But a lot of my mum's things are down there that I've got stored, and I knew I wanted to go and sort through everything, but I didn't really want to because I didn't really want to come across her things. And so when the ceiling collapsed, it collapsed because there was a water pipe leak, and the ceiling was full of water and it just collapsed. I knew it was leaking for a few days. I told her, and she was planning to come round, but the evening before she was planned to come round to look at it, it collapsed. And the water pipe burst and there was water squirting out everywhere, and I could hear it, and rang her. She said, turn the stopcock in the kitchen off, turn the water off, so that'll stop the leak, and then she'll come around and sort it out the next day. So I did that, so there was no more water. I went downstairs, I had a look, there was no water on the floor, so I thought, oh, that's weird, because I could hear it gushing out. She had said to me, clear the cellar, so that she could get down there and do whatever needed doing before it collapsed. So I should have gone down there and cleared everything away. But because there was a lot of stuff, I was kind of putting it off, thinking, oh, I don't really want to have to do that. So when the ceiling did actually collapse, I had to go down there and sort through all my stuff. And then I discovered it was saturated. Boxes with photographs in, things my daughter made at school, Christmas cards, Mother's Day cards, loads of things were where work she'd done, like reports and all sorts of school books and things like that. There was lots of things, and it was all water damaged, and I just burst into tears when I realised the extent of the damage, the water damage. And I had to bring everything up into the living room so they could get down in the cellar and repair what needed repairing. And so I was bringing everything up, and because I was going through all boxes of things, and there was stuff all over my living room floor, and I just got my living room how I wanted it. I'd bought a new sofa and it was looking really nice, it was really tidy and spotless, and then all this stuff was everywhere and it was smelling bad, and it was just so overwhelming. When something emotionally happens, I get really drained really quickly from that. It's like there's a hole and my emotions leak out and takes all my energy with it, and I become really depleted and run down and weak really quickly. And this was like, it just sort of like a tidal wave come over me, and I felt as if I became a little child in my adult life. Like I had no power to do anything. Completely helpless. I felt like I wanted someone to come in and look after me and take care of me, because I was like a child and I needed someone to look after me, to do everything, because I couldn't do it myself. Even though I am an adult and there is no one to look after me, I felt, that's how I felt inside. I felt really helpless and powerless, like a little kid. And I felt very overwhelmed by the extra workload I had of having to go into the cellar, bring everything up, sort through it all, put it out to dry, and then I had to go and buy those plastic storage containers to pack everything in, so when I did put it back in the cellar, when that was tidied up, it'd be nice and organised. You know, like in future, if I ever move or if I ever need it, I know where it is now. Instead of it all scattered about in boxes and suitcases and bags and stuff, it's all in these containers, which I should have done before, but, you know, I never got round to it. And I felt so weak. I felt like I had no power. I really did feel like a little tiny child in my adult body life, in my house with responsibilities, and it was like being a little tiny child. Like, I just wanted to sit there and do nothing and have the grown-ups do everything, because that's what grown-ups do. I did feel like a little kid, and I was lost. Like, where's my mum? You know, like I needed her to go and sort everything out, because I was a little kid and I couldn't sort things out. That's how it affects me when I feel helpless and powerless. I feel like a little kid. And it also felt like where I was so overwhelmed and exhausted, and I felt like I couldn't cope with this situation. I didn't know what to do. I was just looking at everything and I was thinking, oh God, I can't do this, I can't. And I felt like I kind of wasn't really in my body anymore. Like I was sort of kind of dissociating a little bit, because it was too overwhelming for me to be in that moment. And I know it might sound really ridiculous, because it wasn't such a bad thing that happened, but people with complex PTSD and some other mental illnesses catastrophize things. So something this big can seem massive, and you blow it out of all proportion, because it is like being a little kid and something's happened and it's so big to you, you can't cope with it because you're just a child and you don't know how to cope with that, and you need the grown-ups in your life to deal with it, because that's what grown-ups do. Unfortunately, I feel like that as an adult sometimes, that I'm like a little kid and I need looking after, and there's no one to do that. So it's all on me. I know it's all on me. If I don't do it, it's not going to get done. The only person in my life I could ask for help was my daughter. I asked her to help me. She went, no. She wouldn't help me. She didn't see why she should have to. She just sat there and left me to do everything. And I did feel like a little kid. Like, I'm supposed to be your parent looking after you. But I feel like a little kid right now. Like, I need to be looked after. And I didn't really feel like I was in myself, in my life. I did feel like I was kind of floating out a bit. So I don't know if I dissociated a little bit because of that. But I didn't feel real, like I was really in myself. I felt like I couldn't really cope with what was going on. And it took me days to get on top of the workload and put everything back in the cellar. That happened on the Monday night. My landlord came around on the Tuesday morning. Tuesday, Wednesday, I lost them days. I was just zapped. I didn't know what was going on. I was just a mess. I think it was like the Thursday and the Friday that I managed to clear the living room and pack everything away that needed packing away. I bought some storage containers, and because I had a lot of clothing and linen stored in my cellar, which was stuff I wanted to sell at the car boot, that was obviously saturated and it started to smell bad, so I had to wash it all. I've got 2 tumble dryers in my house, neither of them work, so I had to take like 6 loads of washing to the laundrette, so I didn't have to keep going backwards and forwards. I just took it all in one go, and I had to do several trips at the laundrette to get on top of drying everything so it didn't start smelling again, because I had no other way of drying it. So that was an extra workload of having to make trips to the laundrette and spend money, and it was just pissing me off. But I got on top of it, but it took that week to sort everything out because I just felt like I had no energy, completely zapped, and like a little kid. Like I was just almost like taking an 8-year-old and going, there you go, there's a house you're responsible for, and you've got to sort all that out, you've got to do all that, and this little kid going, oh, I didn't know how to do this, I'm just a kid. That's how I felt. That to me was like being hopeless, like helpless, like a little kid, like I needed someone to come look after me. I have read, I don't know if this is a symptom, but I've read this about complex PTSD, where a person will be searching for a rescuer. They want someone to rescue them from themselves, from their lives, from whatever's going on in their the upheaval in their lives, where they'll be searching for someone to rescue them and make everything okay. And I think that's what I wanted that day. I wanted someone to rescue me from my life, like someone to come and do everything for me because I couldn't do it myself. But there's no one around to do that. So all I could do was just shut down and get my blanket and lay on the sofa and just switch off. It got to a point where I thought, it was like, I need to do this, I've got all this to do, I've got to do it, I've got to sort it out, because it was stressing me, because it was all over my living room, and it was just stuff everywhere, and it was like I was putting this pressure on myself, I've got to clean this up and sort it all out, but I didn't have the energy, and the more I was kind of pressuring myself, the more tired I was getting. So then I had to realise that, okay, have a rest, this has really zapped me emotionally, zapped my energy, so I need to lay on the sofa and just shut down and just rest and recuperate. When I get my strength back and I feel strong again, I'll just get on and do it and sort it all out. It won't be a problem. When I felt in that state, like I was helpless and powerless, there was no way I could function and do what I had to do. So for me, I just lay on the sofa and I just wrap myself up in a blanket and I just try and rest, watch a film or something, or even if I just try and close my eyes, and sometimes I'm not even sleeping, I just got my eyes shut like I'm resting. Because it's still going to be there. It doesn't matter how much I push myself to sort things out. If I've tired myself out, I can't do it. I have to rest. And then when I've rested, I'll be able to do it. So I think that's the key when you have... if you do feel powerless and weak and like a little child like that, you need to give yourself some time just to get your strength back. Because it's not that state that you feel, that isn't going to stay like that forever. It will you will come out of that and come back to yourself, to your normal level of strength and your normal mindset. It will pass. That feeling will pass. I don't know how long it takes. But I have felt like that a lot in my life, where I just feel like things are so overwhelming and it's all on me. I have to do everything. There's no one to help me. Everything is on me. If I go under, we're all going under, like my daughter. But then I bounce back and I'm back to my normal adult self. I'm capable, sorting all the bills out, doing the food shopping and, everything you have to do. But there's just some things can send me off the deep end where it's just too much. It's like being so overwhelmed with being an adult that I'm reduced to feeling like a child. It's not very nice. It's like being reminded of what it was like when I was a child, when I felt overwhelmed by life. And I think I did dissociate a lot in my childhood as a way of coping with everything that was going on around me. When I couldn't cope with my emotions, I would just zone out. Just like leave myself for a little while, like it was too much to be in me, so I'd just go off somewhere. Which is dissociation, obviously. And it's not nice to have that feeling and to feel like that little child again that was overwhelmed by this scary adult world, But it does pass. You just have to figure out, to give yourself a break and let yourself rest. Even if it seems like something really small and you think, no, this is silly, I should be able to cope with this. If you feel like that, you just need to have a break. Give yourself a break. Just be kind to yourself. Have a rest until you feel strong enough and able to get back up and do what you have to do. And that's all I can say about that.